Hi, one of the films I enjoyed this weekend was Halloween Ends, the final, for the time being, installment of the long running horror franchise. Regular viewers will know that I've previously reviewed both the 2018 sequel to the 1978 original and the most recent film for this, Halloween Kills, released last year. Halloween Ends forms the final part of this sequel trilogy, in which Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, reprising her role in the original film, does battle with the seemingly unstoppable and inhuman killer Michael Myers, who stalks the town of Haddonfield once again, having escaped from the mental asylum after 40 years of imprisonment. The plot of Halloween Ends picks up 4 years after the previous film. The death of Laurie's daughter has meant a change in her life. She has decided to no longer be a recluse. She's bought a house in town and moved in with her granddaughter, who is 20 or so, and the two are carving out a life together. Granddaughter has a job, Laurie is working on her memoirs, and Halloween is rolling around once again. But there are things afoot in the town, particularly the character of Corey, who several years earlier had accidentally killed a child he was babysitting. He was apparently cleared of any wrongdoing, but is still seen as something of a pariah. And when Laurie's granddaughter starts dating her, or starts dating him, it brings out a new sense of anger and evil in the town. And casting a shadow over all of this is the spectre of Michael Myers, the poison that has been slowly destroying the town over the previous nearly 50 years. It's had a very divisive reception. I think it's because people simply wanted there to be lots of violence, action, and killings. Some of the responses really reminded me of the two characters from The League of Gentlemen, Henry Portrait and Ali Wells, who are two teenage horror movie fans who judge how good a film is by how many killings there are. And this is an interesting film. It's more of a drama than a straight horror. Michael doesn't appear for the first three quarters of an hour. And the first half of the movie is really devoted to what it's like living in Haddonfield, what it's like living in a town that has this horrible past, this mass murder by this single bizarre individual. How does that colour the behaviour of the people who live there? How does it affect the way they perceive the world, they perceive each other? Um, as I say, they look to Corey to be the new bogeyman, to be the new villain, a role that he is gradually forced into embracing. So it's more like a pilot for an ongoing series. And I was watching it thinking, where is this going? I really didn't know what plans they had with this. In the latter half of the film, Michael re-emerges, and he and Corey form a they form a kind of partnership, perhaps. I don't want to say too much more, but Corey and Michael have a certain kinship, a certain relationship um, that pushes the film towards a climactic confrontation. The film is, as I said, it's supposed to be the last film in the series, and people and smug, unfunny critics have said, well, obviously it's not going to be the last one. Well, yes, obviously it's not going to be the last one. David Gordon Green and Jamie Lee Curtis have said that this isn't going to be the last one ever, but it is the final film of the original continuity. Any future films will have to be a reboot, and it will be the last film with Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. As a result, this does feel like the final full stop at the end of the series, and I think it's a satisfying one. It, again, like Halloween Kills, expands the focus of the story. It's not simply a straight thriller. It's about how the spectre of Michael, how his evil has infected and poisoned this town. Um, I found it to be really interesting, engaging film. Very character based. It's people complain that horror films don't have any, well written characters, and then they do something like Halloween and say, no, we don't mean like that. It's the first half is all characterization, and I was fully engaged because I thought, well, this is just a really interesting drama about people in a terrible situation, and it's not necessarily a horror film, but I was fully on board. In the second half, when it moves more towards conventional horror, it still works because Gordon Green has shown in his two previous films he knows how to do a Halloween movie, but he also knows how to do other things, and it's building on different parts of his skill set, I think, that make Halloween Ends so interesting. It's both a conventional drama about tragedy and a down the line horror movie. Um, I really liked it. So far, it's one of my 10 favorite films of the year. I think it might be my number one horror film of the year. I've been trying to avoid too many spoilers. I mean, one can fill in some blanks, I expect, but it's a worthwhile entry to the series. I think people complaining about it being too slow and too ponderous and missing the point. If they just want to see conventional stalk and slash horror, then there is no shortage of other crap you could be watching. What, what did you think you were going to get? Based on the two previous films, which are deliberately trying to be more intelligent and thoughtful and more psychological in their approach. This is very much the final end stage of that. And as a result, I thought it was an exciting, thrilling horror movie that was also intelligent, thoughtful, emotionally and psychologically engaging. Um, I thought it was superb, and I recommend it very highly.